Thank you. Fellow dignitaries and fellow citizens, as required by the state constitution, I'm reporting to you this morning on the condition of our state. Before I do, I just want to make one notation. I noticed that Connie and Mr. Huff put out their critique of my speech 24 hours ago. Now, I'll let you know a little secret. My speech wasn't finished 24 hours ago. And I do want to say, I didn't know that you were psychics and that you possessed the powers of precognition and clairvoyance. After the speech, I want to check with you on some stock tips. We could use them, especially in the state. Look, putting it as simply as I can, California is on the mend. Last year, we were looking at a structural deficit of $20 billion. It was a real mess. But you rose to the occasion, and together we shrunk state government, reduced our borrowing costs, and transferred key functions to local government closer to the people. The result is a problem 1/4 of what we confronted last year. My goal then was to balance budget cuts with a temporary extension of existing taxes if the voters approve. You made the reductions and some very difficult decisions, but the 4 Republican votes needed to put the tax measure on the ballot were not there. So we're left with unfinished business, closing the remaining gap. Again, I propose cuts and temporary taxes. Neither is popular, but both must be done. In a world still reeling from the collapse of the financial system, it makes no sense to spend more than we have. The financial downgrading of the United States, as well as of several governments in Europe, should be warning enough. It is said that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and digging ourselves into a deep financial hole to do good is a bad idea. In this time of uncertainty, prudence and paying down debt is the best policy. For my part, I'm determined to press ahead with substantial budget cuts and my tax initiative. The cuts are not ones I like, but the situation demands them. As for the initiative, it's fair, it's temporary, and it's half of what people were paying in 2010. And it will protect our schools and guarantee in the Constitution funding for the public safety programs we transferred to local government. With enough time, we can and should devise more permanent tax reform. But for now, we should finish the job of bringing spending into line with revenues. Putting our fiscal house in order is good stewardship, and it helps regain the trust of the people. It also builds confidence in California as a place to invest and to realize one's dreams. Contrary to those critics who fantasize that California is a failed state, I see unspent potential and incredible opportunity. Every decade since the 60s, dystopian journalists write stories on the impending decline of our economy, our culture, and our politics. Yes, it's fair to say that California is turbulent, less predictable, and, well, different. Yet, look at the facts. After the mortgage bubble burst in 2007, California lost 1 million jobs, much of it driven by the over-leveraged construction industry and its financial partners in the under-regulated mortgage industry. The result is a recovery far slower than after the previous 6 national recessions. But now we're coming back. In 2011, California personal income grew by almost $100 billion, and 230,000 jobs were created, a rate much higher than the nation as a whole. Contrary to those declinists who sing of Texas and bemoan our woes, California is still the land of dreams as well as the DREAM Act. And thank you for saying that. California is the place where Apple, Intel, Hewlett-Packard, Oracle, Qualcomm, Twitter, Facebook, and countless other creative companies all began. It's home to more Nobel laureates and venture capital investment than any other state. In 2010, California received 48% of U.S. venture capital investments, and in the first 3 months of last year, it rose even higher to 52%. That is more than 4 times greater than the next recipient, Massachusetts. As for new patents, California inventors were awarded almost 4 times as many as inventors from the next state, New York. California has problems, but rumors of its demise are greatly exaggerated. The year 2012 presents plenty of opportunity, and if we work together, we can stimulate jobs, build renewable energy, reduce pollution and greenhouse gases, launch the nation's only high-speed rail system, reach agreement on a plan to fix the Delta, improve our schools, reform our pensions, and make sure that prison realignment is working to protect public safety and reduce recidivism. Last year, I appointed a top advisor with an impressive record in the private sector and charged him with finding out what doesn't work for businesses in this state and how to fix it. What he heard consistently was that business needed an effective champion to navigate the state's plethora of complex laws and regulations which can discourage investment and job creation. You enacted a law to restructure our Office of Business Development and place it in the governor's office. Under the name GoBiz, we now have a point of contact at the highest level for businesses large and small. More than that, the GoBiz office is staffed with people who understand what it's like to be in business, and they stand ready to intervene and give real help to get businesses open and projects off the ground. Already, California is leading the nation in creating jobs in renewable energy and the design and construction of more efficient buildings and new technologies. Our state keeps demanding more efficient structures, cars, machines, and electric devices. We do that because we understand that fossil fuels, particularly foreign oil, creates ever-rising costs to our economy and to our health. It's true that the renewable energy sector is small relative to the overall economy, but it pays good wages and will only grow bigger as oil prices increase and the effects of climate change become more obvious and expensive. I've set a goal of 20,000 megawatts of renewable energy by 2020. You've laid the foundation by adopting the requirement that 1/3 of our electricity come from renewable sources by that date. This morning, I can tell you we're on track to meet that goal and substantially exceed it. In the last 2 years alone, California has permitted over 16,000 megawatts of solar, wind, and geothermal energy projects. In the beginning of the computer industry, jobs were numbered in the thousands. Now they're in the millions. The same thing will happen with green jobs, and California is positioned perfectly to reap the economic benefits that will inevitably flow. California also leads the nation in cleaning up the air, encouraging electric vehicles, and reducing pollution and greenhouse gases. Our vehicle emission standards, which have always set the pace, now have been adopted by the federal government for the rest of the country. Under AB 32, California has stepped out and crafted a bold plan to deal with climate change and foreign oil dependency. The plan will require less carbon in our fuels, more efficient technologies across a broad swath of businesses, and a carefully designed cap-and-trade system that uses market incentives instead of prescriptive mandates. As a result, California is attracting billions of dollars in clean tech venture capital investments. In 2011, almost 40% of such investments were made in California, making our state not only the leader in the nation, but in the entire world. My commitment is to continue these innovative programs and build on them in the coming year in every way I can. Now, just as bold is our plan to build a high-speed rail system connecting the northern and southern part of our state. This is not a new idea. As governor the last time, I signed legislation to study the concept. Now, 30 years later, we're within weeks of a revised business plan that will enable us to begin initial construction before the year is out.